Guys, no fancy intro for this one. We have a ton of guys actually building the car with me at the same time. I didn't know. That's pretty cool, and I'm curious to see the results. Speedrun secrets revealed, part 6. We have a lot to cover. Here we go. This right here is very, very loose, and sometimes it will give you an unwanted rear steering. You can't really see it on camera, but it does move right and left just a little bit. Open this nut here, this nut. Add 2 spacers. That'll be enough to pass the kingpin, and then it will actually press on this part and it's not going to move. And tighten it, and that will make sure that this part is going nowhere. Right, left, up, down, it's not moving. So make sure that you remove this part here. This is actually a bad design by Arma. It actually hit the wheel when it flaps. Something like that. And curve it up a little bit. Nice. And then when it comes to aerodynamic, this is how I treat my limitlesses. I cut the rear wing so there is 0 downforce in the back. Sorry, it's a little shaky. I cut here a little bit just so it doesn't rub the wheels if it actually flaps. And when it comes to the front, this is how I set up my canards. I want downforce, but just a little bit, not too much. By the way, guys, I personally, every time my car is not running and I have the run wheels on it, I make sure that they're not touching, just so it doesn't actually create certain flat spots in the plastic here. So just a personal taste, but that's what I do, especially with foams. All right, when it comes to the rear, I like the stock toe, which is 3 degrees, obviously, comes with Arma, but I like my camber at 0. So this is a wheel I already treated. What I do is I just raise the car from the center, make sure all the weight is on it, like you're running it. And then this is a wheel I just treated. Sorry for the shaky camera, I have to kind of hold it with my hand. So this is 0. This is how it came, a little bit camber in. It's good for certain applications, so I don't really blame Arma for actually delivering the car like so. But for extreme speedruns, I like it completely flattened. Everyone have their own setup, but this is mine when it comes to camber and toe, and then we're gonna go to the front. So this is for the back. When it comes to front toe, I used to be fanatic about it. I used to use setup stations all the time. I used to measure the millimeters here and those connecting rods and whatnot, or steering rods. And I used to be really, really into it. Nowadays, honestly, I just do it by eye. I look at the car, I obviously lay it flat on its side when the setup is complete, and then I just look at the wheel. I like my toe, my front toe, zeroed out completely. So completely 0. Sometimes with foam, just a tad inwards, like a half a degree maybe, just for a little bit of stability. But on a general term, zeroed completely, with GRPs for speedrun, about zeroed, with GRPs for different applications than speedrun, probably open like a degree or degree and a half, just so steering is a little bit easier on the actual car. But I just look at my table pretty much, I note the level, and then it literally takes me like a second, and then I just put the same level, and I'm expecting the same level we had on the table. Let me just raise you up a little bit on the wheel, and it seems like it's not. So we were completely level on the table, and we're a little bit inwards. Now there's a little bit, it's a little bit loose, but I can probably swing it one time. This is the tool I'm using, by the way. So let's play around with it. Let's try. And maybe like another swing. All right, honestly, I don't want to do it anymore. So on the table, it used to be completely flat. The level here is about completely flat. And on the car, obviously make sure it's not on the nut, right? These nut. So on it is just like so. And now I know that my right wheel is exactly the same level as my left wheel, meaning that it's about straight. Now, the car is in a little bit of an angle because of the rear toe. Don't worry about it. You're talking, I measured it once. It's like a half a degree difference. Like, don't even overthink it. Now guys, do a final toe check. The toe, when the car is sitting with weight on it, will be a little bit different than the car standing on its side. Now this is really build specific. That's why I didn't mention it before. It depends on your build. For this build, I just had to close it again just a little bit, but it depends on how much weight you have in the front. Once the car is actually sitting, it's gonna open toe or front toe a little bit. So if you do have to adjust accordingly. I had to actually close mine like a half a turn, so just so toe is straight. Obviously in camera it looks probably open because it's a wide angle lens, so it kind of opens the field of view, but it is straight. So dead straight, toe and camber, toe 3 degrees, camber 0. Ready to go. Front, camber, same dealio. Looks like it's inwards just a little bit when both of those turnbuckles are actually closed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna straighten it up just a tad, nothing too crazy. With GRPs I can actually go through, so that's comfortable, just like so. And I'm going to open it just a tad. What I'm expecting to see is completely flattened. Just a little bit more. I'm actually do it without removing the camera. This will save us like 10 seconds of boredom. All right, let's take a look at it right now. And that's almost about right. We might have like a quarter of a degree or whatnot. That's fine. If we can have the same about distance here, and it looks nice and symmetric, that's worth it. Once everything is done, the car is completely done, we've done the entire setup, I want you to go to the back and apply a dead center even pressure and see which front wheel is kicking up first. It looks like our front right is getting off the ground before everything. And if that's the case, we are going to open our front right just a tad, just so it's slightly towards the ground, a little bit more than the left side. Obviously that happens because the left front is heavier than this one. And sorry about that, with the camera I can't see what I'm doing. Here we go. Just a tad, just a nudge. Open this set screw. So this wheel is just a little bit more towards the ground, hoping that under load we're going to have a leveled front. So we don't have like a tank effect, like a skid steer effect. Then the car actually goes left and right because whoever wheel is on the ground will have more traction and it will turn to this direction. If the left one have more traction, if this one is popping first, of course. Now, sorry, a little bit shaky. We'll go back down. We're going to apply the same pressure. And I'm trying to see through the phone, so bear with me. That's great. See, now it barely even wants to go up because now the right suspension is a little bit more loose, a little bit more towards the ground. So now the car have to actually lift its entire front to actually kick up versus just being easier on the car to just pop the right front. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm sorry guys, I'm doing my best here to help you out. When it comes to differentials, we're going to keep everything stock for now. Once we start increasing more and more with speeds, we're probably going to change the diffs to about 1 million or 500,000, depends if it's in the rear or the front. It's something that we're going to talk about after we run the car because this will change the behavior. By the way, I forgot to mention, Perfect Pass is now turned all the way to the right. Okay, the way I do my antennas, I just take the wire. I see about where 40 millimeter is, and then I set my blade and I roll it gently on my finger. Hopefully you guys can see it, and on the blade. Be very, very gentle with it. After I do, I expose this part. Again, be very gentle. It's super, super fragile. And now, remove both the black and the hairs. Now make sure that there are no kinks, and that looks pretty good. There's just a little bit hair left. Now sometimes if I cut a little bit too deep, it will be both of them together, and sometimes I will have to do one. Oh, I'm sorry about that guys. I will have to do one by one, but there are no kinks on it. That looks pretty good. And then you have to cut that part to 30 millimeter. So 30, and put your antenna here, and you cut that to exactly 30 millimeter and cut straight. Make sure that your blade is sharp enough. So what you want is only the inside 30 millimeter. I guess that's like the wavelength of a 2.4 jig, or the quarter of a half the wavelength, something like that, but 30 millimeter, that's what you want, and that's the finished product. This is how it looks when it's done. I leave these exposed. If you're out there knowing better techniques, let me know. I found that this is my better reception, so this is how it's done. I sand the straws and I sand the receiver box. Makes for not so beautiful install, but a much better bond. So, and I add a little bit of super glue, of course, to make sure that these are strong in place. This is the wires. This is how it looks. I sometimes, I don't think you guys have to do it, but because they're diversity, I do 45 degrees to each direction, but that's just me. One is higher than the other, and that's pretty much it. This is the antennas. When it comes to the actual body, what I did is I just opened a section here. Make a nice cut, and that's pretty much it. To eliminate the body flapping like crazy, I sand this area here. It's about where this limitless is. Beautiful. That's about it. Sand it and send the body inside. That looks pretty good. I use these magnets. Rear earth. And this is how they look. Obviously I take two of them. And what I simply do is I keep two attached to each other. And what I do is I just sand both sides of them. And now that it's completely sanded in both sides, it's going to be able to bite a lot harder. Super glue on it, and I lay it exactly where I sanded, and I make sure that it's centered on this piece. Then once it's dried just a little bit, I apply super glue on the top side, and I let it naturally fall to its position and press just a little bit and accelerate. And after they both dry real well, this is how it looks once you put the body. That's it. And it holds, it's strong, it's not going anywhere. Obviously do the same for the other side. So instead of a flapping body, this is what you get. So this is how it is normally, and then that's it. Your body is going nowhere. Car is solid. Next episode, we're going to the runway and we're going to send that thing at all force, full forward, just to see what happens. It's going to be a virgin run, and I'm just going to send it. I'm not going to hesitate, not going to wait. I'm confident about what we built together and what we created. Hopefully we get some nice numbers. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on it. It's probably going to be in about a day or two. I'm Raz Schifrin. I appreciate you guys' patience. I'll see you guys.